Hello Idle Hero fans, welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at patch 1.9.10. There's been some hero changes, there's been a new event, and there's been some quality of life changes as well, so we're going to go through sort of the main things that are going to impact gameplay. So first, looking at the heroes, there's about 5 heroes I think that have got some decent changes. The first one being Margaret. So Margaret's already a solid hero. She's super annoying in the tower. I've definitely been stuck on a few Margaret levels before, and she's pretty much been buffed across the board. According to the Idle Heroes Facebook page, it pretty much says her poison effects have been enhanced, and what that means is that's pretty much everything, because all her abilities have poison. So her active deals damage against all enemies, and which is sort of more attack each round for 3 rounds. So prior to this we had 32% initial damage, now it's 42%, so that's 10% up. And then it was 42% over time, which is now 60% over time. So 32 to 42 and 42 to 60, that's pretty significant. So that's going to be hitting way harder and making you cry way more, and making me cry way more in the tower when you get stuck at those super annoying Margaret levels. The first passive here, Toxic Attack 2. Each attack has 80% chance to poison the target, dealing 70% damage each round for 2 rounds. So it's now 70%, used to be 50%. That's a pretty big increase. Next we've got After Death. Poisons all enemies, dealing 63% of attack for each round. So this one's super annoying because you just can't avoid this, because even if you kill her you're still getting hit. It used to be 43% and now it's 63%, so that's a really big change. That's sort of like 150%, so that's going to be making us cry a lot more. And finally, when taking damage, has a chance to poison the target, dealing 54% of attack. This used to be 34%, so that is a significant increase as well. So she's going to be super annoying in the tower, and she's also pretty sort of just useful in general. So if you have her, this is great. If you're fighting against her, you're going to be pretty annoyed. I think so. Those are some pretty significant changes for Margaret that's actually going to have an impact. Next up is the Grey-Eyed. This guy, sort of not a super big deal already in the game. I haven't really used him much. The changes that have made for his active now, it's sort of deals damage against enemy with lowest HP, dealing extra attack to mages. This was previously 43%. Now it's up to 83%, which is a pretty big difference, but like I don't think this is really happening that much anyway. So although it's a big percentage increase, sort of double, that's sort of not that likely to go off very much. His first passive attack has a 100% chance to steal 40 energy from the target and gains 30% skill damage. So this used to just be steal 30 energy. So it's a buff in terms of you steal a little bit more, and there's this new increase in skill damage, which is, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. I don't think it'll be enough to sort of make him worth putting in your team above some other sort of solid heroes in that slot. But like, it's good if you've got him sort of sitting there. If he's one of your first 5 stars or something, that's really going to help you. The next is Zekis. He's pretty much just got extra healing. So I don't have the numbers on this one, but his active now, it just heals for more. It's now 185% of attack damage. And his passive, his second passive over here actually, when the hero is killed, all allies gain HP and crit. So this crit is new, and the HP is higher. So he's healing a bit more. He's now buffing a bit of crit. Similar to Grey-Eyed, I don't think it's going to sort of make him instantly a viable champion now, but if you sort of had him already, it's going to be nice. The next champion is Glenn, which is probably one of the most mundane sounding heroes in the whole game. Now he's got a really complicated active. It deals damage against frontline, now has a chance to freeze him or her, gender neutral, very important, for 2 rounds, and heals allies. So the freeze effect is new, 40% chance to freeze. The thing is, it's just the front line, so even though 40% chance is really high, you're only hitting like 2 people unless you've taken them down, which is pretty unlikely. So I don't think this really makes that much of a difference to him, because you're just going to be like freezing a tank or something potentially, and he's already not like an amazing hero. So I don't think this is really a change that matters at all. I mean, maybe if you're having a team that sort of freezing is important because you have synergy, that could help, but yeah, I don't think it's really going to matter very much. So the last champion is Edgar. Edgar's pretty solid, he's a pretty new champ. He pretty much gets stronger and stronger over time, so the longer he survives, the more damage and crit he does. And the buffs they've given him really play well into that. So his active deals attack damage against 3 random enemies and heals self for 120% of attack damage. Can't be dodged. So the buff here is he gets healed for more, which kind of isn't super important, but he's a sustain hero, so you want to be keeping him alive for a long time, so any heals he can get is really good. The other buff is his passive. Each attack grants self with crit damage, speed, and heals himself. So this is really sort of the most critical thing to his playstyle of building up over time. He's building up crit, he's building up speed, he's sort of healing himself. So they've buffed his crit here, so he's getting more crit, and he's healing himself for slightly more. So this is super useful. He's going to be improving even more now than he previously was. So what's great about these 2 buffs here is they actually work with his playstyle. So the reason you would have him in your team is because you're sort of having a team that does long battles and sustained damage, and these 2 buffs really play into that, and you're going to be doing more damage in sustained battles. So I really like these buffs because they work with his playstyle, and it sort of makes sense as to why you would have him in the team. And if you have him in the team for that reason, it's just going to be even better now. So I think those buffs to Edgar are really good, and if you've got him in your team, that's going to be sweet. He's a pretty hard hero to get, I think. So not too many people have him, and I've only ever had him at 5-star. I haven't got him above that. But I think he's been pretty solid for me, and I think that could be really useful. So overall, in those heroes changes, the Margaret buff and the Edgar buff I think are going to be quite impactful. But the Grey-Eyed, Zickus, and Glenn ones, not so much, because they're not super relevant heroes, maybe for newer players. So those are the hero changes of the patch. Next we have a new event, and the event is the Profit Tree event. So if you are saved up a lot of Profit Orbs, you can get these. Honestly, the rewards aren't that great, like 4-star shards. When you get 5-star shards, that's pretty good, but like that's 50 Profit Orbs, I believe, so that's quite a lot. And then you get a Divine Spirit, which is pretty useless. Artifact is good. Bloodblade is really good, but it's 120 at that point. So if you got 120, that's pretty awesome for you. But for the rest of us who probably don't have too many Profit Orbs, like 25 or less, or 50 or less, like it's not a particularly useful event. So what they've done this event is they've actually doubled the loot of the campaign. So the loot over here that you're going to be getting has said to be doubled just for this event, so I think they've probably done that to kind of offset the fact that a lot of people might not have Profit Orbs. So if you don't have Profit Orbs, at least you're getting double loot during the event. So that's the event. Finally, a couple of little quality of life changes. So something that people have been asking for a while is here in the tavern, when you're going to try and select a ton of guys and you kind of scroll across forever and it's really frustrating. You go, oh, I just need this faction, bang, you've got filters. So we've got faction filters on the tavern, which should make it slightly quicker to select guys. There aren't, I don't believe there's like a class or like role filters, it's just the faction. But even then, that's pretty nice, because if you've got a lot of quests to go through, man, that can take a while, and it's pretty frustrating and honestly really boring sometimes. So that's a really nice quality of life change. And then another quality of life change that I actually noticed from playing, this wasn't in the patch notes, I don't know why they sort of put these changes in. They'll change little things and not actually write them into the patch, which seems really weird. But basically, at the end of your battles now, there has been an update in the stats loadout. So previously it's just like how much damage did each hero do, and this didn't really reflect which heroes were contributing the most. So now they've added healing as well. So you can see which of your heroes are healing. So I've got Mikhail here who did like 5k healing, that's really not that much. And you've got your pet damage as well, so which is also in the damage. So pet damage and healing as well as regular healing. So now you should have a better sort of idea of where your damage is coming from, because your pet monster is helping out, and who's healing. Because when you can't see the healing, it kind of means you might undervalue some of the support classes when you're just constantly looking at the damage. Who's doing the damage? Who's doing the fat deeps? But now they've got healing as well, so that makes it much easier to sort of judge where the contribution is coming from. And that is pretty much the main changes in this patch 1.9.10. They kind of say like, oh, little bugs and optimizations tweaked and fixed as well. So it's kind of hard to deduce really early on what those little things are. But to me, going through the posts that they've put up, going through and sort of reading some stuff, these seem to be like the main changes. So we've got the hero changes with Margaret and Edgar being pretty big. Prophet Orbs event, more loot, Tavern has the filter, and the stats at the end, which is great. I love the stats. This is a highly statistical and RNG heavy game, so having more stats and more information is really important. And so the more they push that, the more we can sort of use it and understand and analyze, which is great. But thanks for watching this video, guys. Hit a like if you like this summary. If you guys can subscribe, that'd be awesome. Because we're starting to put out a bit of content now, and it's good to know sort of what content resonates with you guys. But thanks for watching. More videos soon. Cheers, guys.